Thank you, Ariana, for your introduction, and welcome everybody to today's presentation about our pharmaceuticals business. I'm truly excited to provide you today with a strategic update on our business, insights into our ongoing transformation process, and also our path forward to create value towards 2024 and beyond. Let me first start with our management team at Pharma, which has changed quite a bit since I rejoined Pharma back in 2018. In fact, about 50% of my leadership team has been replaced since then. With me today as new team members, you just heard, are Marianne De Backer, who joined us from J&J as head of strategy and business development and licensing as well, of course, and Christian Rommel, who came to us just a few weeks ago from Roche to head up our research and development group. This new team is dedicated to drive the transformation of our pharma business to manage the upcoming loss of exclusivity for both Xarelto and Eylea, but most importantly, to return the franchise to growth thereafter. This team will be focused on redefining how we bring breakthrough innovation and medicines to patients. While we successfully delivered on our late-stage pipeline with 3 potential blockbuster products, we will focus now on realizing the full potential of these medicines as well as of our marketed products. Our aim is clearly to provide the resources needed to successfully commercialize that pipeline, and we plan to continue our investment in innovation. This, of course, may result in a reallocation of resources to free up the required funds for the most promising innovation projects. As we broaden and expand into new modalities, we have entered into the field of cell and gene therapies. It bears the potential for the pharma industry to tap into unprecedented opportunities of the emerging biorevolution in this area. We will be at the forefront here and have implemented a comprehensive cell and gene therapy strategy last year. Last but not least, external innovation has always been one of the growth pillars for pharma, and external innovation will play an even greater role in the future for us. We've defined 5 strategic focus areas that guide our transformation. In the area of portfolio and pipeline, we really need to maximize the value of our current portfolio and manage the loss of exclusivity for Xarelto and Eylea. With Nubeqa, finerenone, and our latest addition, elinzanetant, we will bring 3 potential blockbuster products to the market. Verquvo, which was just recently introduced in the United States, adds another $500 million in peak sales potential. These medicines should support the top line during the loss of exclusivity phase and drive growth thereafter. Historically, our strength clearly lies in small molecule research and development, and we need to protect this strength as we can and as we go along. But on the other hand, we will continue to broaden our access to new modalities to take advantage of breakthrough innovation such as cell and gene therapy. Digitalization across the entire value chain will also have a major impact on how we do things in the future. In the past 2 years, we've made significant progress in this area as well. Be it on the one hand with our collaborations in R&D, or by developing digital health solutions on the other with our investment into OneDrop. Oncology represents an important pillar for our future growth as well. We aspire to build into an at-scale oncology player in our areas of focus. Driving growth and maximizing the value of our inline brands will be just as important as pushing for growth with new product launches. To sustain future business expansion, we need to evolve our regional strategies, especially in China and in the United States. Both countries represent by far our largest pharmaceutical markets. Obviously, managing the loss of exclusivity for Xarelto and Eylea will be one of the key tasks for us. Both products are on track to deliver their peak potential of more than 5 billion euros for Xarelto and more than 2.5 billion euros for Eylea. Already now, these products belong to the leading brands in the industry. Due to its compelling efficacy and safety profile, Eylea clearly remains an important treatment option in the treatment of retinal diseases. We expect further growth out of Eylea. This should be mainly driven by continued generation of real-world evidence across key markets and wider acceptance of Eylea's treat and extend dosing regimen. Eylea will lose exclusivity between 2020 and 2025 in key markets. We would expect more moderate genericization dynamics, given that it's a biological product. This is especially true for ex-US markets, where we own the marketing rights for Eylea. Despite the emerging competition, we will definitely maintain a leading market position. Let's now take a closer look at Xarelto. In 2020, Xarelto recorded sales of about 4.5 billion euros. It is now the world's #4 brand in the pharmaceutical industry overall. It also remains the most comprehensively licensed NOAC with the strongest real-world experience, as almost 74 million patients are estimated to have been treated since Xarelto was launched basically a decade ago, and even longer than that. The loss of exclusivity for Xarelto will not be a singular event, but will span over several years across the main markets. It already started at the end of last year in China. In Europe, the compound patent will expire in September of 2023, and in the US in August 2024. Both may come with 6 months of pediatric extension of exclusivity on top, and we're making good progress there. In addition to these compound patents, we have been granted a US patent which does cover the once-daily use of Xarelto. Based on a settlement, licensed generics may enter the US market in 2027. The regional sales distribution of Xarelto reveals that more than half of Bayer's sales are generated in Europe. Just 11% are coming from the US. This component represents mainly and the royalty income that we get from J&J. The regional sales distribution is an important factor to keep in mind when assessing the potential impact of the loss of exclusivity for Xarelto. Historic genericization patterns of other small molecules reveal that post-patent expiry, sales are decreasing moderately over time in many parts of Europe and in many emerging markets as well, while in the US, the sales decline can be very pronounced. We expect a staggered impact of the loss of exclusivity for Xarelto on our top line. This is well reflected in our long-term business projection, which can be divided into 3 main phases. Now, the first phase comprises the time until the loss of exclusivity for Xarelto. Our overarching goal during this phase is to drive further growth of our franchise. In addition, we already expect to generate significant sales contributions from our launch products Nubeqa, Finerenone, and also Verquvo. During the second phase, we expect a moderate sales decline with the top line trough in 2024. Compared to 2023, we would expect a low to mid-single-digit decline in overall pharmaceutical sales. More importantly, we plan to return to growth thereafter. This stands somewhat in contrast to market estimates. For us, this raises the question what we may not have communicated sufficiently to the market to bring both projections into closer alignment. Now, looking at the midterm period of 20 to 27, we expect sales of our marketed products to decline by about 3 billion euros overall, which will be largely driven by the decline in Xarelto sales. The anticipated sales decrease for Eylea is expected to be mainly compensated by growth of our IUD franchise as well as of Stivarga and Xofigo. During the same period, sales of our potential blockbusters, Nubeqa, Vitrakvi, and Finerenone, as well as of Verquvo, should gain momentum. We expect combined sales of these products of around 4 billion euros until 2027. We also calculate first risk-adjusted sales from Elinzanetant and the P2X3 receptor antagonist into our projection. This will be complemented by increasing sales from AskBio, including their license income and the contract development and manufacturing business. Beyond 2027, we expect the full value of the cell and gene therapy platform to crystallize and our midterm pipeline, like the Factor XI inhibitor portfolio, to enter the market. During the same period, we do expect the sales decline for Xarelto to bottom out. Thus, during the past 2 years, we established 4 main building blocks to lay the foundation for our future growth. These do include our late-stage pipeline in cardiovascular disease and women's health, namely Verquvo, Finerenone, and our latest Elinzanetant. Another building block for creating sustainable value clearly is oncology. With 3 product launches during the last years, we've significantly advanced our presence in select areas of the field. In addition, we expect substantial growth contributions from our cell and gene therapy platform. On top of this, external innovation, in-licensing and bolt-on acquisitions will remain an important element to replenish our pipeline and to add to long-term top-line growth. During the remainder of my presentation, we will provide you with more insights in how we plan to develop these foundational building blocks for future growth. Now, with that, I'm going to start handing over to some of my colleagues that have joined me here. Let me put on the mask. That have joined me here on stage, so please come on with me. I will be most happy to introduce to you Marianne De Backer, our Head of Business Development, Licensing and Strategy, and also Christian Rommel, our latest addition as Head of Research and Development, who is absolutely unbiased on everything because he still has this fresh look, I hope, at things, and I hope he can share some of the excitement that he had when taking a closer look at our pipeline. With that, hand over to you, Christian.
Thank you, Stefan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me to be here today and to update you on R&D at Pharma. During today's presentation, I will give you my initial high-level view on key R&D projects. More details are to come in tomorrow's Pharma R&D presentation. Looking at the late-stage pipeline, I was really excited about the level of progress, differentiation, as well as the potential impact that comes along with Nubeqa, Finerenone, and Kendi NT814. Each of these products has blockbuster potential. Nubeqa is an androgen receptor antagonist for the treatment of non-metastatic, castration-resistant prostate cancer, also referred to as CRPC. The distinct profile of the molecule translated into significant overall survival benefit and showed a favorable and differentiated safety profile. Besides non-metastatic CRPC, we expanded the clinical program into the much larger metastatic hormone-sensitive prostate cancer setting. The first trial in this indication is expected to be completed later this year. The launch of Nubeqa in the first indication is in full swing, and early launch experience is exceeding our expectations. We continue to expect peak sales of at least 1 billion euro for the product. You will hear more about it from my colleague, Robert Lacaze, who is leading this success. Finerenone is a novel, selective, non-steroidal mineralocorticoid receptor antagonist. In the first pivotal phase 3 trial, it demonstrated renal and cardiovascular benefits in patients with chronic kidney disease and type 2 diabetes. We applied for approval in this indication in key markets, and FDA granted priority review. We now also investigate finerenone in patients with heart failure with preserved left ventricular ejection fraction. Again, we expect peak sales for the product of at least €1 billion. Elinzanetant, formerly Kendi NT814, is a potential non-hormonal treatment of vasomotor symptoms during menopause. Up to 75%, or in other words, 3 out of 4 women going through menopausal transition experience such symptoms. Given the limitation of the current standard of care, which is hormone replacement therapy, new treatment options are indeed needed. Based on exciting phase 2 data, we plan to start phase 3 this year. Given the high unmet need, the novel therapy could generate peak sales of more than €1 billion globally. It's not only these late-stage assets which got me really excited. Also, our early and mid-stage pipeline comprises several attractive, scientifically sound, and differentiated opportunities. We already talked about finerenone and elinzanetant. In our mid-stage pipeline, our factor XI inhibitor portfolio represents one of the broadest in the industry. Blood coagulation, factor XI, could be a promising target for new approaches in anticoagulation with potential to reduce bleeding risk. Our portfolio includes an oral, an antibody, and an antisense approach, which are currently all in phase 2 development and progressing well. We are pursuing a multi-indication opportunity with our P2X3 receptor antagonist. P2X3 receptor is a major regulator of afferent nerve fiber signaling and a prominent mediator of pain. We currently investigate our P2X3 in phase 2 across different indications, such as chronic cough, overactive bladder, endometriosis, and neuropathic pain, which reflects the broad potential this asset may have. Among our early pipeline assets, we have some exciting projects in oncology. In the field of precision molecular oncology, I would like to highlight the EGFR exon 20 inhibitor and the ATR inhibitor. Mutations in exon 20 of the epidermal growth factor receptor gene are important oncogenic drivers in non-small cell lung cancer and correlate with poor patient prognosis. Our EGFR exon 20 inhibitor is currently in IND-enabling studies and may have the opportunity to address a significant unmet medical need. ATR is a central DNA damage response kinase activated by replication stress and DNA lesions. Inhibition of ATR kinase in tumor cells may lead to cell death and thus may offer a new approach for the treatment of cancer. Our asset demonstrated compelling preclinical activity as a single agent and in combination with immunotherapy such as PD-1 checkpoint inhibitors and DNA repair blockade via PARP inhibitors. I am in particular excited about our unique access to targeted thorium conjugates, which may represent a completely new platform for the potentially several cancer therapies. Thorium conjugates combine the alpha radiator thorium-227 and antibody, peptide, or small molecule to direct high-energy alpha radiation to the targeted tumor cells. Bayer did a great job in building an industry-leading platform in cell and gene therapies, which will propel our presence in these areas forward. Marianne will talk about this later on in her presentation. Already today, collaborations and use of external innovation are integral to our innovation strategy. That is why we work within a network of alliances with startups, top-ranked academic institutes, industry, and other partners. Our partnership on cardiometabolic risk with the Broad Institute, the successful strategic collaboration with Evotec in the area of women's health, and the already mentioned collaboration with Atara in oncology are just a few examples to name here. In the future, we will further enhance our focus on external input to drive our innovation model at Pharma. Now, like many of you, we are too excited about and committed to digital innovation. The opportunities resulting from applying data science and artificial intelligence in drug discovery and clinical development are tremendous. They may not only increase the speed in bringing new drugs to the market, they may also enhance efficiency, insights, and patient outcomes in clinical trials. We all know R&D will look differently in the future, and I am excited that we have already established promising drug discovery collaborations in this field. Medical conditions never exist in isolation. Individual circumstances influence the ability to implement treatment and advice. Through integrated care, we want to address such patient-specific circumstances. We are approaching digital health beyond the doctor's office into the realm of everyday life. Patients will be equipped with digital solutions, allowing them to move from treating diseases towards managing their own health and staying healthy. With OneDrop, we are building on an existing diabetes management platform and plan to jointly develop integrated care solutions for cardio-renal diseases, women's health, and oncology. The OneDrop transaction was one of many deals executed last year by the pharmaceutical business development and licensing team under the lead of my colleague, Marianne. With that, I would like to hand over to her so that she can share insights into the work she is doing. Marianne, please.
Thank you very much, Christian, and a warm welcome from my side. It's a real pleasure to be here today to provide you with an update on our business development and licensing activities. Over the past year, we have significantly increased our focus on external innovation to accelerate replenishment of our pipeline and to broaden access to new modalities. As you might have seen, despite the pandemic and the associated lockdowns, we could show an unprecedented deal flow for Bayer Pharmaceuticals last year, with more than 25 transactions signed, covering the entire spectrum from collaborations combined with equity investments through leaps, to licensing agreements, to acquisitions. Importantly, these alliances were very carefully curated to help drive growth in our 5 strategic focus areas. We have continued to augment our core therapeutic areas, for example, in the women's healthcare space with the acquisition of Candy Therapeutics. We have broadened our oncology pipeline, we have grown our commercial footprint in China, and we have ventured into the digital health arena. Strategically, though, the most important step we made last year was to build a leading cell and gene therapies business. Through a series of partnerships, we laid a foundation for world-class therapeutic platforms with application potential across many diseases for which there is a high unmet medical need. Traditionally used modalities, as you know, fall short in adequately treating many diseases today, particularly when the target is, for example, an undruggable protein, or the disease is multifactorial, or the disease is caused by one or more gene defects. Cell and gene therapies offer us now the possibility to address these and really the root cause of disease, and may even offer us curative approaches. Based on early evidence, we believe that this field will dramatically alter the standard of care across multiple conditions to the benefit of patients. Bayer's cell and gene therapy strategy is based on 4 distinct yet interlinked platforms. So let me take you briefly through them. First, with the acquisition of AskBio last year, we brought into Bayer one of the truly most advanced and industry-leading gene augmentation platforms based on adeno-associated virus, or EAV technology, covered by over 500 patents. It has already demonstrated clinical as well as commercial applicability across a whole slew of therapeutic areas. Next to that, AskBio also has a revenue-generating contract development and manufacturing organization, which we believe will contribute not just to our own products, but also help fill an important global demand gap for development and manufacturing of gene therapies. Secondly, with the acquisition of BlueRock in late 2019, we acquired a pioneering induced pluripotent stem cell, or iPSC platform, which allows us to generate differentiated cell therapies in the fields of neurology, cardiology, and immunology. And BlueRock's first breakthrough program, as you heard, is in Parkinson's disease and is initiating first in human studies. Now, next to our gene augmentation and stem cell platforms, last year, we also entered into an exclusive and strategic collaboration for a CAR-T cell therapy platform with Atara Biotherapeutics. And here we aim to develop truly the next generation mesothelin-targeted CAR-T cell therapies for the treatment of solid tumors, and we will start with the treatment of lung cancer. Atara is a true pioneer in allogeneic, which means donor-dependent or off-the-shelf T-cell immunotherapy. And this collaboration is a fundamental element of our strategy in this area of cell therapy. Finally, gene editing. It's a cross-functional enabling technology that is necessary for most gene and cell therapies. And also here, we have access to the latest CRISPR-Cas9 technologies, for example, through a series of external partnerships. Our governance model allows for our partners, such as AskBio and BlueRock, to operate with great autonomy and to be fully accountable to develop and progress their portfolio and their technology, while benefiting from the broad capabilities and the global reach we have at Bayer. In our view, this is bringing together the best of both worlds, biotech and big pharma, and positions us, Bayer, as a true partner of choice. Now, as a result of all these partnering activities, we have been able to bring together a vibrant pipeline of cell and gene therapies. We have 6 clinical assets across multiple disease areas, such as Pompe disease, which is a rare and often fatal metabolic disorder, congestive heart failure, hemophilia, and solid tumors. As mentioned before, for Parkinson's disease, which is a progressive degenerative disease affecting over 7.5 million people globally, and for which there is still a very substantial unmet medical need, we actually have 2 pioneering approaches. One through AskBio's delivery of glial-derived neurotrophic growth factor, AAV therapy, and one through BlueRock's dopaminergic neurons derived from iPSCs. So more to come on that from my colleagues tomorrow. We expect this pipeline also to continue to grow in the years to come, as we have several preclinical assets in IND-generating studies. Our partnering achievements in 2020 have also been reflected in several rankings. The acquisition of AskBio, for example, was among the top 10 largest biopharma M&A deals in 2020. The acquisition of Candy Therapeutics ranked among the top 20 largest deals. And additionally, we had the most transactions in the area of use of artificial intelligence in drug discovery. External innovation and new business development is an integral part of how we do our business, and we will continue to look for external opportunities to complement our in-house activities and expertise and to drive further growth. With that, I would like to hand it back to Stefan.
Well, thank you, Christian. Thank you, Marianne. I think this gives you a really good sense of why we're really excited about the future. So let's change gears here for a second and take a closer look at oncology, which represents one of our most exciting and promising future growth drivers for the pharmaceuticals business. In the last 5 years, we doubled our oncology portfolio and have significantly advanced our selected presence in those areas like prostate cancer and others. Our oncology portfolio now comprises 6 marketed products and a compelling early and mid-stage pipeline. Our commitment is to build an at-scale player, as I said before, in key areas of oncology. A centerpiece of our strategy to achieve this goal will clearly be Nubeqa. For the first time, we have a true product with blockbuster potential in our oncology portfolio. We're really excited by the initial launch uptake, and we are optimistic that Nubeqa delivers its peak potential of more than 1 billion euros. For Vitrakvi, the global launch is progressing. Vitrakvi demonstrated pan-tumor potential in TRK fusion cancers with an impressive overall response rate of 71% in adults and over 90% in children. The challenge for Vitrakvi is, of course, the identification of the right patient, given that for that you need genetic testing. We're working diligently to increase testing rates, and we are convinced that Vitrakvi will deliver substantial contributions to our top line in oncology. We will also continue to work on our oncology pipeline and proceed the most promising assets. Some of them were already mentioned by Christian, and he knows 1 or 2 things when it comes to oncology. To achieve our long-term growth aspirations, we also have to continue to invest in next-generation technologies like we did with Atara. You just heard it from Marianne. We will continue to look for potential in-licensing opportunities and external growth opportunities through bolt-on acquisitions or through our impact investment arm, Leaps by Bayer. I mentioned earlier that one of our strategic focus areas is to evolve the regional strategies in the US and China to sustain future growth. Now, the regional composition of our portfolio differs quite a bit compared to the pharma market. Because of our lack of marketing rights for our 2 flagship brands in the US, we have an underrepresented sales contribution coming from the US market. In fact, we've had these rights, or should we have these rights actually, or should we have had these rights, we would most likely be one of the top 10 pharma companies. We are a Europe and China-centric pharma company at this point with a relative low sales contribution coming from the US, as I just said. This imbalance relative to the market is mainly the result of that lacking US rights for Xarelto and Eylea. In fact, and now I'm repeating myself, we would have been really a top company in the world. So at the same time, all of our current US launches perform at or above our expectations, as demonstrated in the area of women's healthcare, oncology, and such medicines as Adempas, where we are true leaders in the field. We expect that ongoing portfolio evolution will change our geographic imbalance significantly and therewith constitute an important leverage point in the future. With the upcoming launches for which we hold global commercial rights, that commercial footprint in the US will significantly expand. With the acquisition of Candy Therapeutics, we are capitalizing on our strength in women's health, where we are clearly the leading company. The same holds true for radiology. And in oncology, Nubeqa is a key growth opportunity for us, as you just heard, and our early launch success in the middle of the pandemic confirms that. We will also expand our position into the cardiorenal market with finerenone and also through the co-promotion of Verquvo. This should all contribute to building that position in the US, which is still the most valuable pharmaceutical market globally. At our last Capital Markets Day in 2018, I highlighted the growth opportunity for us coming out of China, and I'm really happy to report that we exceeded our set goals ahead of time. Even though the market environment has significantly changed since then, we still see significant potential for growth. The Chinese pharmaceutical market holds a lot of potential for future growth. This growth is based on strong market fundamentals. Disease diagnosis and the treatment rates are still comparably low. Together with an aging population and increasing prevalence in chronic disease, it will drive future growth. We therefore aim to sustaining future growth in China through a dual-track strategy. On the one hand, we're targeting to keep our strong market position of established products and an established product portfolio by truly leveraging that significant volume opportunity that comes with it. I think we have very nicely demonstrated that over the past 12 months with Glucobay. On the other hand, we're pursuing an innovation-driven growth strategy by addressing unmet medical need. In total, we're expecting 5 to 7 new product launches by 2025. So there again, a flurry of new things for a market like China. We have now talked a lot about our 5 strategic focus areas and the opportunities associated with each of them. What all of them have in common is that they contribute to our vision, health for all, hunger for none. The same holds true for our sustainability, which is fully embedded in our strategy. In 2019, we have announced measurable sustainability targets, which are also linked to our incentive scheme. We are planning to provide 100 million women in low and middle income countries with access to modern contraception by 2030. We are implementing patient affordability programs around the world to broaden access to our pharmaceutical products. This is clearly part of our comprehensive sustainability measures and commitments from 2020 onwards, and all of them are in line with the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. Well, we now talked a lot about the ongoing transformation of our pharmaceuticals business. But how does all of this translate into our financial outlook and our midterm targets? Our midterm financial targets fully account for the impact of the loss of exclusivity of Xarelto. As announced with our full year's results end of February, for 2021, we expect sales to grow by about 4%. Until 2023, we expect sales growth to range between 3 and 5%, reflecting the uptake of our new launches and further grow from our main products, Xarelto and Eylea. In 2024, we expect to see the trough of the top-line impact from Xarelto's loss of exclusivity in main European markets. Compared to 2023, we aim to limit the impact to a low to mid-single-digit % decline in sales. More importantly, we also expect to return to growth thereafter as new launches are expected to mitigate the top-line impact of the loss of exclusivity. Profitability-wise, we do expect the adjusted EBITDA margin to range between 32% and 34% until 2023 through continued stringent cost management while investing into growth. For 2024, we expect an adjusted EBITDA margin of about 30%. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me summarize. The transformation of our pharmaceutical business is in full swing, and we are truly excited about the future prospects of our business. We expect limited impact from the loss of exclusivity of Xarelto, as it is reflected, you just heard it, in our new midterm financial targets. We have laid the foundation for sustainable long-term growth thereafter, which will be driven by 4 main building blocks. We have successfully established a cell and gene therapy platform, and we will continue to invest in potential breakthrough technologies. We are also evolving our regional strategies, especially in the US and also in China, to develop and exploit new growth opportunities for us in these geographies. And in total, All of this is guided by our commitment to sustainability to achieve our vision of health for all, hunger for none. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our presentation about the strategic update of our pharma business with insights into our ongoing transformation process and our path forward to create value towards 2024 and beyond.